500 years ago, a man was tortured, exiled, and stripped of everything he had, and from that darkness he wrote a book so dangerous it was banned by the Pope himself. That book didn't just expose how power works, it exposed how you are being controlled right now. Every person you trust is playing a game you don't even know exists. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli, and the strategies he revealed are still being used against you today, by your boss, by your friends, even by the people who claim to love you. Power, control, deception. But here's the thing, Machiavelli didn't write his masterpiece to help the powerful stay powerful. He wrote it so that ordinary people like you and me could finally see the invisible chains wrapped around our lives. Today, we're going to break those chains one by one. By the end of this video, you will never be manipulated again. As Machiavelli himself warned, everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. It's time to learn the difference. The exiled mind. To understand Machiavelli's genius, you need to understand his suffering. In 1512, the Medici family overthrew the Florentine Republic where Machiavelli had served as a senior diplomat for 14 years. He wasn't just fired. He was arrested, thrown into a dungeon, and subjected to strappado, a torture method where your arms are tied behind your back and you're hoisted by a rope until your shoulders dislocate. 6 drops, 6 times they let his body crash down and yanked him back up. And through all of it, he refused to confess to crimes he didn't commit. When they finally released him, he was banished to a small farm outside Florence. Broken, poor, forgotten. But here's what makes Machiavelli extraordinary. Instead of drowning in bitterness, he sat down every night, put on his finest clothes, and entered what he called his conversation with the ancients. He studied every leader, every betrayal, every power play in history. And from that study, he distilled the brutal truths about human nature that no one had ever dared to write down. The Prince. That book wasn't philosophy, it was a survival manual. But what Machiavelli understood first was something most people never learn. Masks of virtue. Machiavelli's first and most devastating insight was this. Almost nobody shows you who they really are. Think about it. The people around you are performing a version of themselves, designed to get what they want. Your coworker who always agrees with the boss, the friend who only calls when they need something, the partner who says all the right things but never follows through. Machiavelli called this the mask of virtue. People don't lie because they're evil, they lie because it works, as he wrote. Men are so simple and so obedient to present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone willing to be deceived. Here's the practical lesson. Stop listening to what people say and start watching what they do. Words cost nothing, actions cost everything. When someone tells you they care about you, don't look at their mouth, look at their calendar, look at their sacrifices, look at what they do when it's inconvenient. Watch actions, not words. If Machiavelli's wisdom is opening your eyes to the games being played around you, hit like and subscribe to keep seeing through the illusions of power. Because the next manipulation tactic is one you fall for every single day. Fear and love. Here's the question that haunts every relationship you've ever had. Is it better to be loved or feared? Machiavelli's answer shocked the world. It is much safer to be feared than loved, if one of the two has to be wanting. Now, before you think this is about becoming a tyrant, understand what he actually meant. Love is conditional. People love you when it's convenient, when you're useful, when you make them feel good. But the moment your interests conflict with theirs, love evaporates like morning fog. Fear, on the other hand, Machiavelli defined not as terror, but as respect backed by consequences. Think about your own life. The people who walk all over you are the ones who know there will be no consequences. Your boss piles work on you because you never push back. Your friend cancels plans because they know you'll always forgive. The key isn't becoming cruel. It's establishing boundaries so firm that people understand crossing them has a cost. Not anger, not revenge, just the quiet withdrawal of your presence and energy. Respect without consequences is just a suggestion people ignore. And this connects to something even more dangerous that Machiavelli understood about generosity. Generosity trap. This one will sting because most of us have been taught that generosity is always a virtue. Machiavelli saw something darker. Excessive generosity doesn't earn loyalty, it earns entitlement. Think about the friend who always pays for everyone. At first, people appreciate it, but slowly, almost invisibly, something shifts. They stop being grateful, they start expecting it, and the moment that generous friend can't deliver, suddenly they're the villain. Machiavelli witnessed this pattern destroy leaders throughout history. There is nothing that wastes itself faster than generosity, for even as you practice it, you lose the ability to practice it. The trap works like this. You give freely to earn love, people accept and feel briefly grateful, They become accustomed and start expecting more. You can't sustain it and pull back. They feel betrayed and resent you. 1. You give to earn love. 2. They start expecting it. 3. You can't sustain the giving. 4. They punish you for stopping. The solution isn't to become selfish. It's to be strategic about your generosity. Give to those who reciprocate. Give in ways that maintain your strength, not deplete it. And never, ever train people to take you for granted. But Machiavelli's deepest insight wasn't about giving. It was about timing. Power of timing. Machiavelli understood something that separates the manipulated from the masterful. It's not what you do, it's when you do it. Timing changes everything. He studied how leaders rose and fell, and he noticed a devastating pattern. The people who fail aren't usually wrong about what to do. They're wrong about when to do it. You confront someone when emotions are high and you start a war. Wait until they're calm and you have a conversation. You ask for a raise after your boss just lost a client, you're delusional. Ask after you just saved a major project and you're strategic. The right action at the wrong time becomes the wrong action. Manipulators understand this instinctively. They wait until you're vulnerable, tired, emotional, or distracted. Then they make their move. They ask for favors when you're feeling guilty. They criticize you when you're already doubting yourself. They offer help when you're desperate so you'll owe them later. If someone always seems to catch you at your weakest moment, that is not coincidence. To protect yourself, develop what Machiavelli called occasion, the awareness of timing. Before you react to anything, ask yourself one question. Why now? Why is this person saying this to me right now? And this leads us to perhaps Machiavelli's most controversial teaching. The lion and fox. Machiavelli gave us one of history's most powerful metaphors for navigating the world. A prince must be a fox to discover the snares, and a lion to terrify the wolves. Most people are only one animal. Some are pure lions, aggressive, direct, confrontational. They charge headfirst into every conflict and wonder why they keep getting trapped. Others are pure foxes, clever, indirect, always avoiding confrontation. They see every trap but lack the strength to fight when cornered. The truly unmanipulable person is both. They have the intelligence to see through deception and the courage to act decisively when they must. In your daily life, this means knowing when to be diplomatic and when to be direct, when to stay silent and observe, and when to speak with absolute authority, when to forgive and when to cut someone out of your life completely. Fox sees, lion acts. Here's the test. Think of the last time someone disrespected you. Did you react like a lion, all aggression and no strategy, or like a fox, all avoidance and no backbone? The answer reveals which animal you need to develop. True strength is knowing which weapon to use and when to use it. But there's a darker game being played against you that even the lion and the fox can miss. Flattery poison. This is the weapon that destroys more people than any army, and you probably love receiving it. Flattery. Machiavelli dedicated an entire chapter of The Prince to this single danger. Not because flattery is annoying, but because it is the most effective form of manipulation ever devised. There is no other way of guarding oneself from flatterers, except by letting people understand that telling you the truth does not offend you. Here's how it works. Someone praises you excessively. Your ego inflates, your critical thinking shuts down, you feel a warm bond with the flatterer. And then, when they need something, you give it freely, because how could someone who thinks so highly of you possibly have bad intentions? The person who flatters you the most is often the one manipulating you the most. The antidote is devastatingly simple. Surround yourself with people who tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. The friend who challenges your bad ideas is infinitely more valuable than the one who applauds everything you do. A true ally tells you the truth even when it hurts. Next time someone showers you with praise, pause. Ask yourself what they might want. That pause alone will save you from years of manipulation. And this brings us to the most important lesson Machiavelli ever taught. Cruelty of mercy. This is where Machiavelli becomes truly uncomfortable and truly necessary. He argued that sometimes what looks like mercy is actually the cruelest choice you can make. False mercy destroys. Imagine a leader who refuses to punish corruption because he wants to be seen as kind. What happens? The corrupt grow bolder, the honest lose faith, and the entire system collapses. His kindness created more suffering than strictness ever would have. Now bring this into your own life. When you forgive someone who keeps hurting you without any consequence, that's not compassion. That's enabling. When you avoid a difficult conversation because you don't want to cause discomfort, you're choosing temporary peace over long-term truth. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is be ruthlessly honest. Machiavelli understood that true leadership, whether of a nation or of your own life, requires the courage to make uncomfortable decisions. A prince should never be afraid of being thought cruel, for it is by being cruel in small ways that great cruelties are avoided. Cutting toxic people from your life isn't cruel, demanding respect isn't selfish, setting boundaries isn't aggressive. These are acts of profound self-respect. But even with all these lessons, there's one final principle that ties everything together: human nature. At the core of everything Machiavelli wrote lies one fundamental belief that separates the naive from the wise. People will always act in their own self-interest when it truly matters. This isn't cynicism, this is observation. Machiavelli studied centuries of human behavior and arrived at a conclusion that psychology would later confirm. People are not fundamentally good or evil, they are fundamentally self-interested, and the sooner you accept this, the sooner you stop being manipulated. This doesn't mean you should trust no one, it means you should trust wisely. When someone's self-interest aligns with yours, you have a genuine ally. When it doesn't, no amount of friendship, love, or loyalty will reliably protect you. The people who hurt you most aren't monsters, they're people whose interests changed. The practical application is transformative. Instead of asking, do they like me, ask, what do they gain from this relationship? Instead of wondering why they betrayed you, look at what they stood to gain. Interests reveal truth. Once you see the world through the lens of incentives rather than intentions, manipulation becomes almost impossible. Because you stop expecting people to act against their own nature, and with that understanding, we arrive at Machiavelli's ultimate lesson. Become the prince. Here is the truth that most people miss about Machiavelli. The prince was never really about controlling others. It was about controlling yourself. Sovereignty. Every lesson we've explored today, reading masks, understanding timing, balancing the lion and the fox, resisting flattery, these aren't weapons of domination. They're tools of liberation. When you understand how manipulation works, you become immune to it. When you see through people's masks, you choose your relationships with clarity. When you master timing, you stop being reactive and start being strategic. When you set boundaries, you stop being a victim and start being a leader of your own life. Machiavelli wrote from exile, from suffering, from a place of absolute powerlessness. And yet, his mind was the freest in all of Italy, because true power isn't about controlling the world around you. Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great. True power is the ability to see clearly and act wisely in a world full of deception. That is what Machiavelli really taught us, not how to be a tyrant, but how to never be a victim again. 5 centuries ago, a broken man in exile decoded the operating system of human power, and everything he discovered still applies today. You now have what most people will never have: clarity, awareness, strength. You can read the masks, you can sense the timing. You know the difference between a lion's roar and a fox's silence. You understand that flattery is poison dressed as perfume, and you know that true mercy sometimes requires difficult choices. The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. From this moment forward, choose your circle with the precision of a prince. Demand truth from those around you, set boundaries that command respect, and never ever mistake someone's kindness for their character. Watch their actions when it costs them something. That is when you see who they truly are. If you made it this far, comment the prince to prove you've unlocked Machiavelli's wisdom. The wisdom of the ages is yours, use it well. If this unlocks something in you, subscribe for more. The vault has more wisdom waiting.